Oh, we can have a quorum?
Currently you have more budget committee members on than select board members.
Oh,
Janet and Norm are watching.
oh, hi, Janet and Norm.
Hello.
Hey, Jeff.
Jeff,
Hey, how are you?
hey, Stephen, how are you?
Hi there.
You're
Good.
looking formal tonight.
Yeah, I got work stuff I have to do in about 30 minutes.
Are you gonna have to cut off of our call?
Well, I'm gonna join by phone because I'll be in the car for a little bit. But at some point I will later on. Yeah.
Make sure to join before you start driving, Steve.
That's good advice. Jeff, how do you mute and unmute?
Jeff, are you in the car?
I'm actually at Pat's Peak at the moment.
You're racing again tonight?
Yes.
Ah,
But I'll be on. It takes less than a minute to get down, so I only got to take 2 runs. So the most I'll miss a couple of minutes. But when you join by phone, you have to unmute using their command. You can't mute and unmute on your phone until you use their command. So it's hard to do when you're driving.
Sabrina's gonna be probably a few minutes late. She's tied up at the legislature. So as soon as Anna's ready, I'll start the meeting.
And I see that Sam Green is on our first appointment. I just want to let him know we'll pull you over as soon as they do their opening.
Okay, so I can start, Neil?
Yes, everything's set.
Okay, well, welcome to the February 1, 2021 meeting of the Hopkinton Select Board. Let me start by reading the right to know law meeting checklist. As Vice Chair of the Hopkinton Select Board, due to the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis, and in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the Governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are A, providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are utilizing the Zoom platform for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through the Zoom platform, and the public may access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone number: 1-646-558-8656 and meeting ID 340-316-049, or by clicking on the following website address: https://zoom.us/j/3403-16049. B, providing the public notice of the necessary information for assessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of how to assess the meeting using Zoom, and instructions are provided on the Town of Hopkinton's website at www.hopkinton-nh.gov and on the Town of Hopkinton's Facebook page. C, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem, please call 603-746-8242 or email at townadmin@hopkinton-nh.gov. D, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting and which is required under the right to know law. And I see Sabrina has joined us. So Sabrina, why don't you take it away?
Hi, sorry I'm late. Thank you, Ken. So yes, Sabrina Dunlap here and alone in my office. Ken?
Ken Traum, I'm alone.
Steven?
Stephen Whitley, I'm alone. I am going to be switching to phone later on and then dropping off away from the meeting a little after that.
All right.
I'm alone.
Anna.
Sorry.
Anna Wells, alone.
And I assume Jeff is calling in from the slopes, maybe?
Yes.
He is indeed, but I am in fact alone at this moment in the third floor of the lodge at Pat's Peak.
All right. Excellent. All right. Thanks, Ken, for covering for me. So first up, we have points of pride.
I'll just remind people that as I think it's going to snow, it wasn't snowing when the meeting started, but that our highway crews, as well as police and fire as needed, will be out throughout the night in the storm and however long it lasts. And I always say it, I roll over in bed and hear the plows go by and think of those guys, but I'm nice and warm in my bed and they're out plowing for long hours. So I thank them and just hope people remember them, and they do a great job.
Yeah, and they were out at work early this morning. I saw them doing something on Cedar. I'd like to just thank the members of the budget committee. It's been a real grind the last few weeks, and we'll be continuing in another 9 days.
Thank you, Ken, I've listened into a few of those meetings and you represent the select board well. So thank you, and Neil for your work on that. All right, anything else for points of pride? Okay, so next up we have approval of the consent agenda.
Sure, I'll move we approve the consent agenda of February 1, 2021, and I'll offer to go into sign.
Thank you, Ken.
Second.
All right. Sabrina's yes. Ken?
Yes,
Jeff?
Jeff is a yes, and if Ken decides he doesn't want to drive tomorrow, I can certainly fill in. I don't know if we can approve both of us just in case, but that's certainly.
Jeff, if you really want to drive, I will acquiesce and you can drive.
It's the whole point of a four-wheel drive pickup, Ken. I'll do
All
it.
right.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. So I'm a yes on that. I'm assuming Ken's a yes. And Jeff offered kindly. Thank you, Jeff. Stephen?
Yes.
Anna?
Yes.
All right. And next up, we have approval of public meeting minutes from January 19th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Sabrina's yes. Ken?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
Anna?
Yes.
And Jeff?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And now approval of non-public meeting minutes of January 19th, 2021, session 1. I believe session 1 is sealed. Yes.
Yes, they are. I'll move it.
Second.
All right, Sabrina's yes. Ken?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
Anna?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Thank you. And approval of non-public meeting minutes, January 19th, 2021, session 2. These are not sealed.
I'll move them, but request that the time of the meeting be revised. I think it lasted less than 30 seconds.
Okay. That seems fair. I'll second with that amendment. Sabrina's yes. Ken,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Anna,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
All right. So next up, we have our first appointment, 5:30, Sam Green, Assistant Director, Municipal and Property Division, DRA. Hello, Sam. You're still muted, just FYI.
I'm muted. Well, so I was listening to you with all your minutes and I didn't see my face up there and I thought, well, I'm sure it's going to just happen. And then I heard you announce me and then the whole screen went blank. So, but now I can see you. So
Good. Well, thanks for joining us.
thank you. So I'm with the New Hampshire Department of Revenue. I'm Assistant Director of Municipal and Property Division. And Robin asked me to just touch base with you guys and make sure that you're familiar with the requirements for the elderly exemption. I think there was a question on that. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the only real question is whether we're talking about net income or gross income. Unless there's something part of this I don't know, but.
Nope, that's it.
Okay, so, if you look at the statute, which is 7239A, covers the conditions for the elderly exemption. It talks about net income, net assets, what those include. Specifically, the net income shall be determined by deducting from all monies received from any source, including Social Security or pension payments, the amount of any of the following or the sum thereof. And that would include life insurance paid on the death of an insured, expenses and costs incurred in the course of conducting a business enterprise, and the proceeds of the sales of assets. So throughout the statute, and more importantly, because I usually point people to the rules because I don't, unlike Robin, I don't have to, do number crunch these all the time. But the rules are made to really help clarify for the, sorry, oh, see, there I am. Meant to clarify the statute. And so throughout the rules, and specifically the rules that apply would be the 409.1 and 409.03, which deals specifically with the additional eligibility requirements. They're talking about the net income throughout that information. One other, I would imagine that Rob using something to what we produce and we have on our website, we have a recommended worksheet that really walks you through, I'm going to kind of fold it up just to give you a flavor for it, but it kind of walks you through, the applicant, their incomes and their assets, and you can find all this. I can actually forward it to all of you. But it basically kind of walks you through, the amount of the applicant's spouse, if applicable, Social Security, pension, retirement, wages, rental income, if any, other income or annuities, interest income, and then any supporting documents. I mean, if Robin is getting something from somebody and she needs more information, she should by all means be requesting it. And it's important to also realize that you can requalify your applicants, and it's probably a good idea to do with your elderly. I don't know if you have disabled, but anything that's asset and income related may require you to check up on their documents on an annual basis. You can't do it more than annually, but you can certainly do it annually if you want. Most communities will do it once every 5 years. But if you've got somebody who's really close to the asset and income limits, or one or the other, you may want to be requalifying them more often than once every 5 years. So I believe that you guys went through assessment review last year. I can't tell if Robin's nodding or rocking.
Yes.
Okay. So you've done that, that kind of across the board review, but does not mean that you may not want to review certain applicants more often than that, just because they're close to the limits, and they may qualify for 1 year and not qualify for another year. So the veterans credits tend to be a little bit simpler, and usually an affidavit form once every 5 years is suitable for that. So, and again, I don't work in an assessing office, but I point people to the rules, which really are there to clarify the statute. But there's nothing in the statute that says anything about gross income. And the worksheet, which Robin has access to, well, you all do, because you have access to our website, will kind of walk you through the qualification process. So, happy to answer any questions.
So, Sam, this is Ken Traum. Thank you for that explanation. So you're saying that net income is gross less taxes, less anything else that is listed specifically as a deduction?
Well, yeah, so essentially this would be, let me give you an example. So under additional eligibility requirements, and this would be in addition to residency, the statute reads, the applicant shall not be eligible for an elderly exemption unless, in addition to meeting the ownership requirements and the residency requirements, the applicant also meets the following requirements: 65 years or older, in the calendar year preceding April 1 of the tax year in which the elderly exemption is claimed, the applicant does not have a net income, or if married, a combined net income greater than the maximum amount adopted. And it's the same with assets. And I don't know if this is regarding a specific issue, a specific applicant. Is it income or assets that we're?
It's income.
Income, okay. So let me just go back to the rules, which again are a little bit more detailed and are meant to help clarify the language of the statute. So I guess actually it was just on the rules. Applicant does not own net assets if married. So let me go actually back to the statute, which has those three. The net income shall be determined by deducting from all monies received from any source, including Social Security or pension payments, the amount of any of the following or the sum thereof: life insurance paid on the death of an insured, expenses and costs incurred in the course of conducting a business enterprise, and proceeds from the sale of assets.
Okay,
Net assets, and this is in 7239B, and this is explaining what net assets are. Net assets means the value of all assets, tangible and intangible, minus the value of any good faith encumbrances.
okay, Sam, what I'm struggling with and still is, does net income mean gross income less life insurance, the cost of business expense, and proceeds from the sale of assets? Or does it include, or do you also deduct taxes to get to net income?
Your net income would be the net income that's being listed. So when you get a tax return, we're not talking about her gross income. We're talking about her net income.
Okay. So you would use the tax return to determine the net income. You wouldn't base it on what the individual gets, say, as an automatic deposit each month and multiply that by 12.
Well, that's probably based on her net income.
Well, that person may like to see more refund at the end of the year or something, so they overpay every year and then get a refund at the end of the year.
This person only has Social Security and pension income.
Okay,
So it's what's deposited in the bank.
yeah.
And what
So,
if, okay,
just out of curiosity, and I guess this is actually an asset issue, and that doesn't seem to be the case, but I just wanted to make sure. You're not including her house, and I don't know if she has more than 2 acres or anything like that. Okay.
no, we're not dealing with the assets.
Okay, okay. So Robin, if you looked at, you've examined her tax materials?
Yep, I got her tax statement. I got her bank statements.
Yeah. And they reflect what you think are
Net
her-
income is reflected and
Okay.
an adjusted net income is reflected.
Yeah.
All below the 50,000 that we have.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Robin, just to clarify, you have her tax return or her 1099 or W-2?
I have the tax return.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, and that's typically something that would be, looked at by the town. That's one of those documents that would be, viewed as being, evidence of her eligibility, certainly.
And Robin, when you look at her tax return, if she was getting a large refund, would you include that in the income, in the net income?
I would if they were getting something that was substantial, but I don't have it in front of me, the tax return. I left that at the office. But I will check that again and make sure.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I think we were just trying to understand ourselves, to be comfortable with what's happening. That's all.
Okay.
On the tax form, it's listed as taxable income. So it's regardless of how much tax has been taken out, it's the actual income that is taxable. That's the bottom line, I think, am I correct that that's the
Well,
one?
I would think, I'm trying to remember how it's actually stated. So it's probably not stated as net income, but it's probably the taxable income. It's what's left after everything else has been taken out, just like, our take homes are a lot smaller than we would like to think.
So can I ask a question? Just again, I'm trying to understand.
Sure.
I'm going to make up some numbers and I apologize for that, but let's say that I have a W-2 that says I made $60,000.
Yep.
So that's my gross income.
Yep.
Then the IRS gives me a standard deduction of $2,400 and change. Why is that being removed from income in terms of this exemption?
So what's that 2,400? I didn't quite hear what you said the 2,400 was for.
It's
But
a
it was for
standard
the
deduction on the IRS, on the 1040.
Okay.
You get a
Yep.
standard deduction.
Yep.
And then when you subtract that, you get adjusted gross income.
Yep.
And then if I had mortgage interest expenses and, charitable contributions or whatever, I can get my taxable income down to zero. But I made $60,000.
So
You're
yeah.
saying I'd be eligible for a credit.
Well, I'm just looking at the letter of the law. It does say net income. from all sources. And so one of the things
But
you
is-
would look
but-
at would
but
be
is it-
your
But is it net of taxes, or is it net of those three items that are specifically listed in the statute? That's the piece of this that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Robin, can you speak to anything for other income other than what you just said? There's two things, right?
As far as I remember, it's pension and Social Security.
That's correct.
And the
So-
statute says monies received.
Right. So the
But
net
that's
income
one
shall
of,
be
that's one of
determined.
the questions is, did she receive it, even though it went to the US Treasury? That's still her money.
Well, so let me ask you this. Have you guys, I mean, so I'm just trying to, I'm not an expert on, I mean, Robin's been doing this for 20 years, but I'm just going by this net income. Have you guys talked to your attorney at all about this, or? Not that you would have necessarily gone to your attorney first, you would have come to the DRA first, but.
Right. We did receive pretty much the same clarification you've just given us from the municipal association.
Okay. I think, and I also suggested, and Robin, I don't know, did you reach out to Verna by any chance?
I did, but she never got back to me.
Okay. She does a lot, she's the Portsmouth tax deputy assessor. And she's kind of recognized as a really good nuts and bolts person on this. And she teaches this as well, so. So that your attorney has made a determination or no?
It has not gone to our attorney.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all I can tell you is there's nothing in the statute or the rule that says anything about gross income. And so it seems to me that it's net income as it would appear on the income tax statement would be her
But
net
that's
income.
that's after a standard deduction. Is there a definition in the statute of what comprises net income?
Net as, well, all right, so I skipped a net. Let me see if I've got net income here, because I went to net assets when I was looking at the rules here. All right. In the calendar year preceding April 1, a net income from all sources, or if married, a combined net income from all sources, of not more than the respective amount applicable to each age group determined by the city or town. Under no circumstances shall the amount determined by the city or town be less than 13.4 for the single, so you've changed your amounts. The net income shall be determined by deducting from all monies received. So what are our monies? Our total monies, we have
Pension and Social Security.
pension and social. Net shall be determined by deducting from all monies received from any source, including Social Security or pension payments, the amount of any of the following or the sum thereof. Life insurance paid on the death of insured. Do we have that?
No.
Expenses and costs incurred in the course of conducting a business enterprise. Proceeds from the sale of assets.
No.
Okay. So after that, it just goes to net assets. So it seems like what Robin's telling us is what there is for net income. I think maybe it might be time to talk to either legal counsel, or if you got this from NHMA, that's probably your next best source. Who was it you spoke to there? Neil?
Sorry, I was muted. It was Nate, I believe, Nate Grace.
Okay. Well, if you feel uncomfortable with this, then maybe you should get a second opinion from NHMA. Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you.
This issue hasn't come up in other towns about more specifically how to define what's net income?
Not that I'm aware of. And I've been with the department for 15 years. That's not to say that this is my bailiwick, but I mean, this is, I'm just, let's see, I'm trying to think if we've got anybody, there's really nobody else. Linda Kennedy is usually the one that deals with a lot of these questions. She's not as available as much because of the home situation. But I did talk to her about this, and she said, well, net income is what it's, she didn't get into the weeds on it, and I didn't get into the weeds on it. But, she said it's based on net income versus gross income.
Can we request a definitive decision by DRA?
I'd be happy to reach out to Linda. It would probably be good, Robin, if you could give me as much detail, if you can give me your amounts.
Okay,
I will just tell you that our legal department doesn't want us making these determinations for towns because we don't want to be in the midst of something that could end up at court. So, ultimately, you probably are going to have to go back to the NHMA or talk to your attorney. Because I will tell you right now, our legal department does not want to be siding with a town if you're going to deny somebody something and this ends up at court. But I'm happy to talk to Linda Kennedy and get a more definitive statement from her that speaks to your concern about a standard exemption on her form, on her tax materials, which seems to be what you're having an issue with.
So I might be oversimplifying here, but is it possible this has never come up in 15 years because the alternative to net income would be gross income, and that's clearly not spelled out?
If it's as simple as that, then there's nothing in the statute or in the rule that says anything about gross income.
Well, I guess that's where I'm landing. I'm not sure, Jeff, like I sort of hear what you're saying, but I also think if they meant gross income, they would have said gross income.
So you don't think it's income net of those three things that are listed?
no, those are exceptions. Those are the things that don't count towards net. That you're talking
There's
about
no
the
way
life
to calculate.
insurance?
Yeah, there's no way to calculate net income because the tax return has a standard deduction. It takes away a portion of income right off the top. So unless the statute said adjusted gross income or net taxable income for the taxpayer's 1040, I don't think it's right. And I'm a little disappointed that the people who are in charge of, enforcing this statute don't have an answer.
So I'm just telling you what the rules and the statute say. So,
But it doesn't define net income. It doesn't say gross income less taxes. Doesn't say gross income less Medicare payments.
right. Let me
which, by
just-
the way, are also deducted on the Social Security payments.
Let
So
me,
are those included or not?
Well, it would be, yeah, that would be a good clarification. I'm just looking at the, I'm looking at the definitions, which definitions usually are the front section of the rules. And there's nothing that specifically defines net income.
I'm struggling with this same issue that Jeff is, that to me, the way I read the statute, that uh, net income would actually be gross income less those specific items that are pointed out. And so I guess I would like some more clarification too.
All right. So Robin, let's get together tomorrow. Are you in or are you?
It'll
You're not
depend
going-
on how bad it is, but
I know.
I can give you a call.
All right, I'm going to be working from home tomorrow too, so.
Okay.
But I'll make a contact with you in the morning and
Okay.
get what information I need.
Yep.
To, talk to Linda about it.
Okay.
I would highly recommend though that you end up getting a second opinion, Neil, from somebody at NHMA, because if it's not going to be your attorney, it's going to be somebody from NHMA making the ultimate, yay, nay on this, or recommending that you make the yay, nay on this. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate you
Sorry.
coming in.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Sam.
Have a good night.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
Okay, so thanks, Robin. More to come on that. So our second appointment, I think, is not actually coming.
That is correct. That
Okay.
will be next meeting.
Okay. So on to old business. First up is budget finalization.
Okay, I guess I'll start off. Since our last select board meeting, there've been two very productive budget committee meetings, which lead up to the budget committee meeting in 9 days on February 10th, which is a public hearing on all four budgets and final budget committee deliberations. This meeting is usually held in the auditorium at the middle high school and is fairly well attended. It's a big deal. It's the culmination of budget committee's work normally. So going into the meeting on the 10th, the budget committee has unanimously voted on a preliminary basis to support all of the expense items in our select board proposed budget. That's the operating budget, capital reserve funds, trust funds, financial software, etc., and which represent all of the warrant articles that have a financial impact. One item that actually drew a lot of discussion, probably a lot more than our budget itself, related to we had made an estimate of a 1% increase in the townwide valuation from last April to next April, which we incorporated in calculating our tax impact. By comparison, the school district, as of this point in time, is using a 0% increase. The budget committee unanimously recommended both entities use the same percentage. And then by a 5-4 vote, with me abstaining, the committee recommended both entities use a 0.5% increase. And I'll note that these are recommendations by the budget committee. They're not mandates. So I think it's fair to say that both Neil and myself feel 0.5% is very reasonable, while the 1% we initially used may be somewhat of a stretch. If we opt to use the 0.5% increase, then the estimated tax impact that would fall on the existing valuation would result in an increase from 4.11% to 4.63%, or about $26,000. While it is somewhat academic at this time, other than for presentation purposes, if we wanted to, we could revisit the estimates we used several months ago for the reductions in revenues we might expect from the state. And just as a reminder, we assume we would receive 20% less from room and meals, or 57,000 less, 20% less from the highway block grant, or 38,000 less, and nothing from municipal aid, or 46,000 less. And, and once I finish this, I'll certainly turn it over to Neil, who has a better feel for the latest estimates. So in terms of the presentation that I have to make on the 10th, should I use the 0.5% increase, the 1% increase, no increase? And does the select board have any interest in revisiting the state revenue estimates? So with that, Neil, I don't know if you wanted to comment any further.
I'd just say this is all just estimation for presentation purposes. The assessed value will be what the assessed value is. It's reviewed. All the new construction is reviewed on April 1st, or right around April 1st. And then that's set. And then we set that and send it to, we don't set it, we send it to DRA. And it is what it is. So this is all really having to do with presentation, not with reality, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And where our vote on the business session of the town meeting is on May 1, I'll assume that we would have obviously the much better valuation numbers if we wanted to use them for that.
No, I would not assume by May 1. September 1 is when they get submitted.
Oh, okay. All right, then I stand corrected on that. So we're back to, what is the pleasure of the board in terms of, do we want to go to 0.5% or something else?
I'll be curious to hear what others think. I found the whole conversation a little bit strange. And is it the case, Neil, that we've never used something like 0.5% or 1%?
Here we haven't. I have in other towns before I was here, but valuations were dropping in 2009 and then in 14, both times for the revals. So, but they have steadily been climbing, and we know that there was more building in this past year than there has been in recent years. We don't know exactly how far along that's done, and we don't really know the total value on that. People do sometimes put values on, but those estimates don't appear to be all that accurate.
I mean, it seemed, if I'm recalling our original conversation, like we were using the 1% because we felt like that was the most accurate estimate, even if it was like, a little more aggressive. I hate to use that word, but some people might think the school's being a little too conservative here based on what we know. So it seems, I'm happy to do the 0.5%. I don't know if the school's going to agree to that. They seemed pretty set on whatever their standard is. So it seems like the most logical thing to do would be what makes the most sense for us, and the thing that we think is the most accurate estimate, which we had landed on 1%. But I don't think it's worth like getting in a fight over, or, if this is what the budget committee recommends, I'm okay going with it. So I don't know how others feel about this, or if anyone else heard the conversation on multiple budget committee calls.
I would just say the 0.5% falls in line with what we've seen in recent years.
Right, I remember that. So that makes sense.
What is the school using now?
No increase.
None. Okay.
The 2020 exact amount.
Yeah.
It was my understanding that they may revisit that at their next meeting to discuss what the budget committee said.
It is on their agenda that came out.
Yeah, I'm comfortable going to the 0.5%, and I think that it would be probably useful in a lot of ways if the town and the school use the same number. I mean, I think it would be helpful for perception, I guess, is the only word I can think of to describe that.
And Anna, that was what the budget committee unanimously voted, that they recommend both bodies use the same percentage.
Yeah, and if the school is more comfortable going to a 0.5% versus a 1 full percentage point, then I'm comfortable going to a 0.5 as well.
I think the school would be much more comfortable going to a 0.5 than 1, but I think they're
Right.
at this point they're more comfortable at 0.
I'm fine doing a 0.5%. This is Stephen.
Jeff, are you there?
I am here. Sorry, I couldn't find the unmute button. I'm fine with 0.5% if we want to do that.
Okay, I guess I don't know if I need a motion on that, or I've got the consensus of the board.
It's just a presentation, so I don't see why you would need a formal motion.
Okay, that's fine with me.
When we vote on the final budget, it'll be reflected there. So,
And that won't be until late April, I guess. Okay.
thank you for being the messenger on that, Ken. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
We spent a lot of time discussing that. Okay. Okay, so as I mentioned, the presentation by the budget committee on all 4 budgets, the 2 precincts, town and the school, is a week from Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. And obviously everybody is more than welcome. And Sabrina, thank you for listening in on all of those budget committee meetings.
My pleasure.
Sure.
I'm glad it's you up there explaining things and not me. Okay, so anything else on the budget?
I think we're okay. Neil, did you have anything else?
I think that's good.
Okay, well, great. Thank you.
All right, thanks again, Ken. So next up is town meeting warrant finalization.
Sure. So you could have a warrant, and I did send out. We received today a second petition warrant article, which has SB2 on the warrant, so that will have to be added. My big question, I think, at this point is the business session, and we talked a little bit about leaving it open for meeting in person, but I didn't know if you wanted to make that by May 1. It's seeming pretty unlikely we're going to be having a big meeting, and if you just wanted to put, which I did in the draft, put dates in. And the other question I had was Chief Pecora had suggested we see if we could possibly do the drive-through voting at Elmbrook. And I would, if that's something you're interested in pursuing, I'll start making contacts. The group that is organizing, the supervisor and the moderator and all of that, are meeting tomorrow night. So I will run this all past them too, and whatever, when the meeting is and where it is, you decide, but just to get their input. And you don't have to finalize the warrant until 2 weeks from now.
Why does the chief want to go to Elmbrook?
He thought logistically it would work better. The problem is people have to be handed ballots and fill them out. And the concern is there going to be room at the high school? That adds a whole new twist to the drive-through voting.
No, I saw
And
that.
why can't they print them at home as you did for the previous election?
The Attorney General, the guidance from the state, unfortunately.
And there was an attempt to try to get that changed, but they're pretty firm in that. Which it worked pretty well last year, I
Sure
thought.
did. Anna, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I saw that a couple towns last year used their highway garage for the location of their drive-in voting. And I don't know if, if that's if that's in heavy use at the time of our town meeting, that's not an option, but the long DPW road and, the large area down by the highway barn could be another option. I don't know, just a thought.
I think there's less room there than there is
High
at
At Elmbrook.
Houston Drive, even
Oh.
to go around there. I think there's more at Elmbrook. I think there's more at Houston Drive than the high school.
You could also shut down the transfer station and use that.
This is Steven. I mean, I support exploring other options other than the high school because I agree that it's going to be more complicated and more likely to have a bottleneck if people cannot fill out their ballots before they show up. I guess my concern is, can we even use Elmbrook?
Mhm.
Because isn't that state park?
Yeah.
It's Army Corps of Engineers.
Army Corps, it's federal government.
Yeah.
So we don't know yet if that would be an option.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm open to exploring that. I'm just worried about what we're going to hear back in response to that request and when we'd even hear back. But I think we should explore it.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear what the group thinks tomorrow for options. And I do think it's probably a safe bet to say unfortunately, we won't be in person in May. Neil, I have a quick question just out of curiosity. How many signatures are needed for a petition warrant article?
25.
It looked like, and I noticed there was at least one person noted as not being a registered voter on the SB.
That's correct. There were 28 without that one.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, but both petitions went through. Carol, the town clerk, went through them all to make sure people were registered.
Okay, great. Thanks.
And verified them. Is there any special place in the warrant you would like the SP2 to be? I think last year it was first because when the warrant was near the beginning, thinking that could stay open longer while the meeting continued. That's not going to be an issue this year.
Right.
Petitions are generally at the end, so
yeah,
wherever
it seems like what I know the one on redistricting has been in for a while. It seems like it would be fair to put the petition that comes in last.
So put SB2 as Article 12 after the. Right now, the Article 11 is the redistricting and Article 12 is other business. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a super strong opinion, but it does seem like it makes logical sense to have the two petition warrant articles at the bottom. And I know the other one has been in for a while, so unless others have an opinion.
It's less changes to all the other numbers if we do it that way.
Oh, but so is the alternative to put it first?
No, it doesn't matter to me, really.
Oh.
It's less that we have to change in the warrant if we put it last.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good.
I think that makes sense to put it as Article 12, right? And then Article 13 is other legal business.
Yeah.
And the deadline is tomorrow. So we'll know for sure tomorrow if there's any other petition. I haven't heard of any. I don't know if anyone else has.
So anything else on this, or so we don't have to finalize till 2 weeks from now?
Right. And you probably don't even need to discuss who's presenting each one, because that's not going to be until April. So,
Seems so far away. Okay.
but at the next meeting, you would have to vote on whether to recommend an article or not.
Right.
So it will be
Okay.
finalized. And we can do electronic signatures, so we'll send it out, and the budget committee is going to do electronic signatures on their budget forms too after they finalize that. So we will do it that way.
Neil, for the budget committee, does one person have to come in and sign officially?
I don't think so. That was for the bond bank, but they're more strict than anyone else that I know of. So
I was thinking more of our consent agenda. Somebody has to come in and sign. That's what I didn't know.
well, actually, we could send it out and have you all sign electronically. You vote to approve it and then have one person sign on your behalf. But
Well, Jeff and I like to take turns coming in to sign, so gets us out of the house.
So does anyone have anything else for the warrant? Otherwise, I think we can just go through and vote on each one next meeting. Okay, so next up we have review of 79E covenant.
yes, I sent that out, added I can share. This segment that says compliance with regulation. The grantor agrees to comply with all federal, state, and local ordinances and regulations, including all applicable building codes and zoning regulations.
That looks good to me.
Which I think reflects what you wanted.
Does it need to specify, I'm just looking at some of the other ones, refer exactly to the property on which the covenant is enacted? Does it need to refer specifically to the property?
It could. Do you want it to say the grantor? I'm just reading the.
I don't know where it fits, but
Add the word and just make it property compliance with regulations. Looks like that's kind of.
Seems like it captures the spirit of what we're trying to capture, don't you think? Just that.
I do.
Okay.
It just, a lot of them have like with respect to the property.
Mm.
And, maybe overkill, but it may be helpful.
The grantor agrees to comply with all federal, state, and local ordinances and regulations. Thinking of the word, something about.
Just put it at the end, maybe. Like,
You could do including all building codes and zoning regulations applicable to the property. Is that what you're
as they pertain to the subject property.
Oops. Oh. I'm in PDF, never mind. So as they pertain to the property?
or maybe. Interesting.
I can add that if that's the consensus.
So are you talking to me?
We're debating adding property in here. I'm fine with leaving it as is, but if others want to drop in the property, because I think, like, to me, I don't know how else you would interpret this.
I mean, you could just do it at the end. You just say regulations, including all building codes and zoning regulations applicable to the property, which is, I think that's what you suggested, right, Rena?
I did, yeah.
That makes sense to me.
I mean, we do have up above with respect to the described property. But if it's easy enough to add in there, Neil.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
And this, I think you probably should vote on because you voted to accept it before. So if you could just vote to accept the amendment as
All right.
amended, the amendment as amended.
I move we accept the amendment as amended.
Second.
Rena's yes. Ken,
Yes.
Anna,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yeah.
Stephen. I don't know if we still have Stephen. I think he's gone.
Not
All right.
with us.
Stephen's not here. Okay.
I don't see him on at all.
Thank you, Neil. All right. That brings us to new business, year-end financial review.
Sure, I sent those out. We ended pretty much where we thought we would. I don't know if people have questions. No real surprises. Our fund balance looks about where it is, where we thought it would be. For this, I separated the grants because they were approved separately and are not really part of the budget. So the numbers in the budget no longer include the grants, and you have the grant summary sheet. And we expended all the COVID grants. The reason there's money to return for the first responders is the way that was done is everybody gets listed and it gets sent in and they send you money and then you administer it. It's kind of different than any other grant we've ever had. So we did not expend it all, so that money will have to go back, but they haven't quite figured out how to send it back. But we will tag that as due to the state or the federal government or whoever's going to get that back.
And I don't have that sheet in front of me. That's like $2,000 or something, that ballpark.
It is 20. I can pull it up, but it's just over $2,000.
On the year-end final unaudited numbers, as far as highways and streets, the shimming and paving, certainly the amount budgeted was not spent. And was that just simply due to timing that we didn't get approval till so late in the year?
That was with the July town meeting that made it more difficult, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. And any updates with regards to the
he muted himself, but I bet he was going to say St. Methodius. So if
yeah,
that
yes,
isn't
I
right.
was. I didn't realize I muted myself. Yes.
Neil, you know him too well.
How to beat Jeff to it.
Deb hasn't been in since Wednesday, but I haven't seen anything that's come in. So I don't think there's a further update that it's come in. We are continuing to encourage that payment in appropriate ways.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. But I didn't have anything else.
All right. So I think we can move on to town administrator updates.
Sure. I don't have a lot. Deb is out. I remembered how to do payroll. I was quite thrilled that AP and payroll seem to come out of the system okay. I'll be more thrilled if everybody receives their direct deposits on Thursday. They should. I think, and actually some of you probably know this better than I do, but the rec department has started doing ceramics classes via Zoom. And I think a great turnout, and it sounds like that's going well. The exercise classes, the senior exercise classes are going well too. So that's been going really well. And then Robin's working hard on the town report. That's getting finalized and done. And that's kind of in town meeting. That's pretty much what we're working on at this point.
Yeah, we took part in the remote pottery classes from the rec department. It's great. So it's really nice they're offering those. All right, thanks, Neil. So that brings us to public forum. We have a handful of people with us tonight. So if anyone wants to talk, you can raise your hand. All right, I'll take that silence as a no. Oh,
There's one.
Norm has his hand up.
Norm must have an old system. He has to be promoted to panelist to speak.
Hi, Norm.
I hate being the panelist. No, listen, I just, a couple quick things. I just want to say, in the last couple of weeks, I've walked into the town hall, and I just want to say, it's been great. Neil, Robin, everyone has just been really supportive of everything, of everyone's needs, and just well organized, and everyone's practicing COVID really well. And I just wanted to say it was really great walking in there, seeing everybody well organized and practicing COVID. And things aren't getting better, but it's great to see our local town really falling through at the local level. So I just want to say thank you for that very much, and thank you to the town. I wish them luck tomorrow with the big snowstorm that's coming. I hope everyone continues to be safe, and I want to give them a huge thank you for keeping our roads nice and clean for tomorrow. So there's your comment. You needed something.
Nice.
Here it is.
Thanks, Norm.
All right. Have a great night, guys.
Showing up. We
Thanks,
appreciate
Norm.
it.
I'll just harass Norm a little bit and say we're really not practicing COVID. We're practicing social distancing. So, just for the record, just to be clear.
And thank you, Ken, for a great budget committee, meeting last week. I thought it went really well, and you answered all the questions, the tough questions to the school district. Definitely appreciate it. So thank you, guys.
Well, thanks for all you and the rest of the board and Steve are doing on the schools. And I'll be very anxious to hear Thursday night who your new superintendent is.
Yes, I'm excited too. I really am. It's been a busy year, but I think the town's gonna be really excited. I'm really excited too. I really am.
Awesome.
We won't ask you to spill the beans.
So get me off here. Bye. Thanks, guys.
Yes, leave now.
Bye, Norm.
Bye, Norm. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? We like public comments like that. So pleasant. All right. Anyone have anything else for other? Because if not, we just have a non-public, and I would thank the members of the public who joined us tonight. And we can vote to go into non-public, and then we will adjourn. We will not be doing anything else.
Sure. I'll move we go into non-public session under RSA 91-A:3 Roman 2 little a personnel.
Okay.
All right, Jeff's a second. All right, Sabrina's yes. Ken,
Yes.
Anna,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yeah.
All right. So Robin, we will fare thee well.
Okay.